could have, but I didn't. This will be Tuesday, February 9th, in advanced class as we get farther into our Greek mythology-ish stuff. So we've covered from those. We're going to do the speedy review of the information because it's been a week and some of the knowledge has fallen out of your brain, but I don't want to spend too long on it. To start off with, let's see where we had it before. Chaos! Which category did we put chaos in?
God. Oh, all of them.
All of them. Because what was chaos?
A blob.
Swirling ball of pudding. What flavor?
Chocolate.
And eventually he splits to form the first two gods, and those are?
Uranus and Gaia.
Uranus and Gaia. Gaia, also known as?
Gaia.
Uranus, also known as? Sky. Nicely done, my not-so-seventh graders. And Kronos goes in?
Kills his dad.
God.
That's not a category. God, nicely done. He's the one that's up there. And with Kronos, what fun game does he invent that other guys try to follow?
Patricide.
There you go, killing your father.
Riley.
That's where that answer comes from. Hades goes in?
God. And places.
Nicely done, because he was not creative and named the place he lived after himself. Not evil, just didn't want to be talked to by other people because he was kind of grumpy. And that's where he names the place after himself. Humans were afraid to say that his name because he who shall not be named. And because of that, there's a nickname for the place he lived, and that is? Underworld. Comes into places. Titans goes in? God. Like the god of waiting until I finish talking before you yell things out, and I'd have to be mean to you. Titans would be all the... Which poster, by the way, has a Titan on it?
All of them.
Is correct. Trick question. All of them. Just checking to see if you wait until I got done talking, to see if I got a chance to torture you or not. Vulcanize goes in?
Other stuff.
Other stuff, because it is a word that we'll get to. It's just a random word from Greek mythology. Comes from Hephaestus. Pandora?
God.
Is correct. Because Pandora, her name breaks down into two things. Two different Greek words. Pan means
Giving.
all. Dora. Once again, not waiting until I got done. That's one so far. Gifts. I know. Eager learning. So Pandora means many gifts or all gifts. Narcissus comes from?
God. God. It's a
She's a he. You're
It's a
correct.
little like things with the ears and they're small.
Nymph.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a name.
They're also called third graders. Narcissus was a little. She was a he. Now you got me saying it. He was a nymph who had issues, but he was kind of like a god that lived for a long time. When we get to Styx, not the thing you throw for puppies, but S-T-Y-X, and Styx goes in.
Places.
She starts off as a god, and then eventually becomes
A river.
And what's special about this river?
It's evil.
It was.
It has
It's not. It can't be evil. It's a river, but
Well,
it was
it's
poisonous
interesting.
and dangerous. This doesn't make it evil.
It makes it an evil river.
And where was this evil river?
Underworld.
Hades.
Is correct. Scythe goes in.
Things.
And who uses a scythe?
When you kill your father.
No.
So you good answer for who. Nicely done.
Oh wait.
Scythe. And who uses it was Kronos, and then he uses it for the killing of the father in one game. Nowadays, not something you guys would use. You probably like a chainsaw or something, but at the time, had a lot of upper body strength for the killing of a parent.
Other
Harpy
stuff.
go up to 2. Harpy goes in.
Other stuff.
Is correct because a harpy is half
Bird. And woman.
half bird and half
Girl.
nice, really. Half bird, half woman. Uranus goes in.
God.
And
Places.
and who is Uranus married to?
Gia.
Nice. And another name for Uranus is
Uranus. Sky.
sky. Yes. Another way to pronounce it might be for the 7th graders. I love being 7th grade. Then we get to our new ones, and we'll try to figure out where
Wait, no.
these go.
We were past the first one on that.
No.
Oh.
Right. Once again, I was correct. Just get used to it. And so we'll get to Charon. And with Charon, does that go in gods?
Sure.
No.
Places?
No.
Things?
Yes.
Other stuff?
Other
Yes.
stuff.
It's adorable that you guys suddenly thought that I wanted to hear your voices. I'm not sure where we would have gotten that idea as opposed to raising our hands. And so, yeah, once again, it would be gods. Going back to the underworld in Styx, Charon was the guy that took you across. He was the dude in the boat with the long pole. You had to pay him a gold coin,
Oh, I have it
drachma,
in there.
that would get you across to the other side. And so the evil river, you had a stick of non-evil that you could stick in there. A stick that you would stick in. Minotaur! It would go gods, places,
Oh, no.
things, other stuff. Good job not yelling at me this time. It goes in the same place as a harpy, because a minotaur was a half creature. A minotaur was half man, half
Horse.
bull, which is like a horse, but completely different. Bottom half of a man, and then the head of a bull. Also only ate human flesh. They were very grumpy. Well, there was only one of them, and then later on they just created more, but for the most part there was just one minotaur. And it's because his dad didn't like him and locked him in the basement, but parenting. What are you going to do? Centaur! Gods, places, things, other stuff. Same place as Minotaur, because a centaur is a half creature. Half man, half
Horse.
So bottom half of the horse, top half of the man. We saw that in Harry Potter. Yeah, and like 20 other movies. It's very popular. So the centaur, bottom half horse, top half man. And before I forget, just to remind you, because it has been a week since Greek mythology, 1, the questions that pop up, we'll get to them. It'll just be later, anytime. We have a lot of Greek mythology to come. 2, try to keep your yelling at me to a minimum so I don't have to be super mean to you. 3, realize that try not to lose too many points with the whole yelling at me because you get all excited about learning so that I can try to get through stories as quickly as possible. Back to the next one, Tartarus. Gods, places, things, other stuff. Tartarus is a place.
Yeah.
Like tartar sauce, but without the saw. It's just the tartar and the us. And it was the place where you put gods that would... It's like God jail, but before it was God jail, it was God ditch. This is where you buried babies you didn't want. And so you'd stick them in this ditch, and then eventually they're like, oh, that's a great place to keep all kinds of people. They just started like throwing all types of gods in this ditch. But it started off just to throw babies you don't want. If you want it to be. Sure. It's part of Mother Earth, so. Olympus! Gods, places, things, other stuff. That's an easy one. Nice one. Places. What do you call the Titan who lives on Mount Olympus?
Titan.
An Olympian.
An Olympian. We can only have a certain number of Olympians at any one time. How many Olympians can we have? 12. Nice one. One for each finger. Kelsey. There's a whole thing of free pencils on my desk over there. You're welcome to them. And then Epimetheus. Gods, places, things, other stuff, random shrugging. Prometheus was the god of idiots. His brother was Prometheus, who was the god of smart people and geniuses, and then Epimetheus was his twin brother, who was the god of idiots and being dumb and having issues. Was he in the 7th grade? That's me. True, but me. Satyr. The next one. So did you realize that trying to do everything in a blue Sharpie was not the best choice?
No, I wasn't writing the blue Sharpie.
Just I saw the blue Sharpie there, so I didn't know if I had
Only on my hand.
Okay, that was ridiculous on my part. I apologize. Satyr. God, place, thing, other stuff. Just randomly voting for all of them. Satyr.
It was a place.
We've just given up. Same category as all the other half creatures. A satyr is a half man, half goat. Correct. Half goat. Over here above Colleen, there's Pan. One of the most famous of all of them was a half man, half goat. And in the Hercules movie, Philomines was half man and half goat. Bottom half goat, top half man. And the last one, Atropos. God, place, thing, other stuff. Atropos, she had 2 sisters, Lachesis and Clotho, and the 3 of them worked together as the 3 fates to control how long humans live. They had scissors and a measuring stick and a string, and you cut the string, and that's when people were born, but in the horrible Hercules movie, it's when people died, because logic. But it was the same idea. And so, they were often shown being blind, or sharing an eyeball, although they did not share an eyeball because that's really unhygienic. That's how you get cooties. The first way to spread cooties is sharing eyeballs. And so, but it's the same idea. It's the same people. Now, we are going to be done with the notebook, and we can put that to the side. We'll come back to it again another day. Now is where the blue sheet comes in, and we can do more learning stuff. We have 10 words in that top left-hand corner on the blue sheet. you're going to need to use your iPad. And the things we downloaded before, we downloaded 2 handouts. One was the family tree, and then the other one was the Greek important gods. You don't need the family tree one yet. We might come back to it. But the Greek and Roman gods, that's the one you're going to need. Each of these 10 words comes from a Greek or Roman god. We're going to figure out which Greek or Roman god it comes from by using these things called knowledge and thinking. Either if you know what the word means, and then you can figure out if there's a god that connects to it, or sometimes just looking at the god's name can help you make a connection between the two of them. Mr. Brovicast, what is the Roman god thing? Well, basically it's the easiest way to look at it is between English and Spanish, 2 different languages for the same thing. Greek and Roman was about the same. Romans came later, they spoke a different language, they took a lot of the Greek names and just used the same gods. Not all of them are different. If you look at Apollo, Apollo's Roman name is Apollo, because they're like, that guy's so good looking, we can't change it. So they just kept the name the same. Others did change. Aphrodite becomes Venus. And so it can be both of them, it's just different ways of saying the same one. Yes?
Is Nike like the brand called Nike? Because
No.
the goddess of victory.
So we're going to, yeah, actually, you're correct. That was the story I did with my regular kids, so they had that one of theirs, but yes. Jovial, our first, who would have thought learning? Jovial, our first one on there. Well, to start off, do you guys know what jovial means?
Does it
Happy.
mean little?
It does not mean little. Cover,
Happy.
it does mean happy. And so it is ironic we got the name from this particular god, but it does mean to be happy. Bailey?
Is it Zeus?
It is Zeus. What's Zeus's Roman name?
Jupiter.
And he has 2 names.
Jovial.
Jove. So the fact that his Roman name was Jove, there's the connection. So it comes from Zeus, whose Roman name was both Jove and Jupiter. And so the idea that it means happy. Why? Because if you were the king of all the gods, and Zeus was the king of all the gods,
He's not happy.
you would think that you would be happy because if you're the king of everything, you should be happy because you have everything going for you. If you're immortal, you should be happy because you have everything going for you. If you're the king of everything and an immortal, it's like a double win, so you should definitely be happy. So when you saw someone being happy, you'd be like, hey, that's very Jove-like of you, and you must be very happy, and that's where the jovial came from. The problem is, it's ironic. And why is it ironic?
Because Zeus
Because
ain't
Zeus is
happy.
always
Zeus is never happy. In almost all the stories we get into, Zeus is a very grumpy Gus. He does make a lot of friends, which we'll get to, but he usually celebrates his friendships by killing someone because he had emotional problems. And so because of that, there's very few stories of him ever actually smiling. He doesn't like go around and give high fives or anything joyous like that. Cereal, our next one that we have from there. Bertie,
Demeter.
Dang it, I was gonna say.
I called on
I
you.
was gonna say that's
He's a
Demeter.
horrible person
That's
stabbing in the
what I was
hallway.
gonna say.
What was the answer?
Demeter.
I just looked at you and called on her just to taunt you. I'm a horrible person. Why would you say Demeter? I was calling on you now.
Because like she's a farmer and cereal comes from wheat and yeah.
And what's her Roman name? Hess?
Siri.
Nicely done. Ceres is her Roman name, and because, you know, the farmer and the Demeter, she's the one over here above Bentrin who's hugging wheat. I love wheat. And then she's sitting on a throne of corn over here above Nellie. Throne of corn. And then she's here hugging wheat and then giving him the stink eye and the wiggle finger. In another story that we'll get to. And so she was the god of grains and harvest and growing and stuff like that. And so because of that, anytime that you have this pile of food, you would say this pile of food came from Ceres, thus it becomes cereal. So by definition, cereal is...
Food.
Wheat.
Now we can only put that together.
Wheat food.
There you go. Way to tag in. Food from grain. Because not all food is cereal, and not all wheat is cereal. Oh,
But there's marshmallows in there too.
I know Kita just likes to yell at me. 3Q.
She's sitting on a throne of corn. It's like every Hoosier in Indiana.
I know. She was actually the first Hoosier. That's where we get the word Hoosier from.
Siri.
Not even a little bit.
Oh.
It's on video, so it must be true. And so with that, with cereal, it started off at one. Mr. Bovey, like Abigail, I had cereal this morning, and there was very little wheat in mine. Yeah, nowadays your cereal probably does not have actual wheat and grain in it. At one time it did. Your cereal was just a bowl of like corn and oats. But the problem with that is, exactly, it does not taste very good.
Yeah,
And the company's like, we're not making any money. They're like, well, try putting some sugar on it. Like, that's a good idea. Like, I don't know, kids will buy it. So they put the sugar on there, and the kids are like, oh, this is great. The kids just throw money at people. Like, this is genius. So in order to make more money, they put more sugar on top of the cereal, but the box is only so big. And they're like, we're running out of box space. Like, well, we could take out some sugar. Like, well, that's a bad idea. How about we take out some grain and put more sugar in? Like, well, that's a good idea. So they just started putting in more sugar and taking out more grain until eventually nowadays it's just sugar-covered sugar bits with some chocolate to help the sugar go down. And so it should be called sugar roll, but it's not. It's called cereal from the god of sugar. Who's the god of sugar? Hermes, but that's a whole different issue.
There's a god of sugar.
Volcano! The next one we're going to get to with learning and theory. Doyle.
Festive.
I tried.
Did you have a stroke? Are you okay?
I tried.
So in the middle of that one, there's two letters, a PH. We should know what sound PH makes.
I said hefts.
I got that. And why do you say hefesh?
Because it says Vulcan.
It does. Is Roman name? What was he the god of?
Stop looking at me.
Smiths and metal stuff.
Like Joneses, like last names. Smiths, Joneses.
I got that.
Name joke didn't need to go over your head. Smith, Matt Smith, Bob Smith, Joe, never mind. And so Hephaestus with the PH in the middle makes the F sound, and so it's Hephaestus, not his cousin, who was the god of getting diseases from touching food after not washing your hands, hepatitis. Hephaestus and hepatitis, two different people. And so, yeah, that's where hepatitis comes from. It's a whole other story that we'll get into.
No, really?
No, well, you will, just not here. There's a class that takes care of that for me. And so that's where Hephaestus comes in, who's also the god of being ugly and crippled, because he was ugly and crippled. This is Hephaestus here with the flames shooting up behind him. He was the only god to be crippled and the only god to be ugly, but it's okay. It was a punishment to him because he sassed his parents, and because when he sassed his parents, they taught him a lesson by crippling him, but it's only for as long as he lived, which was forever, because he's immortal. It also made him horrifyingly ugly, which did not help him with the ladies. And that's why here he has a crutch in his arm. The thing that's next to him is an anvil, because the god of the smiths and the banging and the making metal. That's the thing that you drop on roadrunners, and then they just spring up like a little lump on their head. Looks like that is an anvil. If you're not sure, get one, go home, find a younger brother, drop it on their head. If cartoons have taught us anything, they'll just walk away with a small bump.
No.
You should be absolutely fine. Also back here behind Becca, there's another, hi Becca, another version of Hephaestus. He has a crutch in that one, there's a fire thing there. Over here in the other big poster, Hephaestus not with a crutch, but sitting down looking grumpy. And there's the little anvil next to him. Grumpy, he was one of the grumpiest of the gods. Crippled, ugly. Actually, Hephaestus beat Zeus was unhappy, but he was not the unhappiest. Because still kid who's up to 4. Hephaestus was unhappy because he was married to the most beautiful of all the people, but she hated him. And so she repaid him by becoming friendly with his brother on a regular basis and flaunting it in his face because she's a horrible person. And so, but that's also a story for another day. Hephaestus, being horrifyingly ugly and not getting along with people, didn't like going face to face, so he spent a lot of his time hiding inside of a mountain, because when other gods saw him, they'd be like, hey, and so it made him cry at night. So he spent his time in a mountain working on a forge, and heat builds up inside mountain, no chimney, until eventually kaboomity, and that's when we get a volcano. Because a volcano is a mountain that it has what on the inside?
Fire.
Mountain of fire. And because that's where they got it from the god Vulcan, because you'd see it explode like, Vulcan, oh! Like, oh, that's a volcano. And so that's, pretty sure that's how that started. Mercurial! Birdie, who gets to go first this time? Wow, taunting glare.
Hermes.
And why do you say Hermes?
Because his Roman name is Mercury.
It is, and what's he the god of?
Messenger. He's a messenger.
He is the messenger god. And Thursday we'll pick up there with our stories about him and learning and taunting glares and learning how many points we can lose in a single day.
Yeah.